Hey there, guys. It's been a really long time since I've done a audio log, so I'm really sorry that it's taken so long to make one. There's been a lot of, let's just say, a lot of stuff that's happened, and just haven't really felt like actually doing one. But at this point, I'm going to be making this one actually more public for people to listen to this, because at this point, I feel like I kind of have to have a few words really about the situation, that I'm in. I'm in a much better circumstance, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm currently living in Sleepy's place. He's a moderator of the channel, of my channel. And I'm very thankful for the cheaper rent, I should say. And I would say that if I didn't make the move and ended up here, I would have been in a really, 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 really bad spot financially. But unfortunately, as time has gone on, and realizing that I'm not getting many commissions come in on a monthly basis anymore, and the fact that money is at this point tight, I don't know when the next income's going to come in for me for commissions and stuff like that. I'm really trying to just think about what I need to do. Like, I think a lot of you might have. I'm being quiet, by the way, because it's quite, early in the morning, but generally, like, money has been quite hard to make for me for a long, long time now. It's hard to kind of put into words really just how long I've been doing this for, in the sense, like I say, 7+ years of me streaming, but it's not counting all the other years that I've been trying to figure my life out really, and what to do and how to and have a job really, and what I do and what I'm best doing in life, and but even then it's not like I haven't had gone down the road of trying to find just a normal job, trying to just find somewhere to work, that I can just earn money and stuff. It just never has happened. It's always been a struggle for me. When you go on job seeker allowance, especially in the past, you had like, what you call resumes or CVs over here, where, you write down all your experiences and all your certificates you've ever earned and stuff like that in the hope that you can get a job and just find your way in somewhere. And I've just never been lucky enough to grab one, let alone especially not one that I can find that's relevant to my interests and my qualifications, let's just say. But, obviously when I went down the path, obviously the art and animation and stuff like that, like I've done this all my life, art more so obviously. As a child I've always drawn. It was always what I did, and it was what felt like the only thing I was good at as well at school. And, my grades weren't always that good. Without going into the ins and outs, like, I really struggled with most things in school, at the time. And the only thing I was good at was my art. And as a result, especially back then when I was really into video games, and still am, obviously. Like, I always wanted to become a game designer. That was like one of those things I always wanted to do, and either that or like some sort of, how you had video game magazines that reviewed games. I wanted to be like a game reviewer, if not that. But I think that one, I think in my head, was a lot harder to do because that required writing and being good at English and stuff like that, which back then I wasn't particularly very good at. Funny enough, maybe I'm a bit, I would like to think, better at writing than I was, especially back then, as a teen. But, like, generally, I went down this path of, yeah, it makes sense. This is the only thing I'm good at. So, and I liked drawing, that it made sense to go to college and learn more about it, to go down the path of, academic stuff with art and design, and, get certificates, which I did. I got diplomas in it, and diplomas enough to actually go to university later in life, which I did again, and got a master's degree in animation. And when you go throughout your whole life, really dedicate yourself to that, and even with the internet as well, because I used to be on DeviantArt many years ago, and there was that too. You know, trying to get myself out there, trying to just do well with my art, trying to, you know, create a bit of a following from my work like that. Because really, primarily, it's always been about, as well for me, especially when I got older and especially when I was on job seeker allowance once I left college, like back in 2009 and onwards until I think probably 2012 when I finally went to university. Like before that, I was trying to just figure out a way to earn commission money, trying to earn money through what I did because I was struggling to find work normally and I felt really stuck. Because of the fact that, I was searching for work and I wasn't getting anywhere and um for a long time, for years. And that's why I ended up on the ladder of university and eventually because someone um like a sort of they referred me to like some sort of like I guess recruit. I don't know, I can't remember really what it is, but yeah, I don't want to give the name of it really just in case, but like generally they are there to help aid and sort out your CV as well, which you'd think the job centre would do stuff like that back then, but not quite. They did do a little bit, but not a lot. But they were really good in helping me out with that path to getting onto university. And it was actually quite nice to have someone literally recognise the fact that you had diplomas and literally ask. I remember them asking, like, you got diplomas, why are you not at university? And I said I thought it was too late. And then that's how they got me on the ladder of university. And then it wasn't too late. But yeah, I do really appreciate them helping me out with that one. That was a big step up. Though unfortunately I ended up on a course that wasn't particularly very good, but it did give me time to learn and, give me finance as well, because we had something called student finance, still do. It's a thing that helps support people onto the path of university and have money to do things. And it was a good time, really, for me during that time too, in a way, as much as the course was a load of crap and I hated it and it wasn't fun doing the projects that we barely had any time to do and complete. Um, I did come out of it with money at the time where I had a new computer. I still have the Cintiq that I had from all those years ago. I still use it now. And, I had a new computer and just new things that I needed for my work, and that was much needed. Still, funny enough, using one of my monitors from back then, actually. Like, overall, it's I think my point about this is I've gone down a really, really like big long path in my life where I wanted to just be able to figure out something financially for myself. Like trying to get commissions, trying to just be seen, And I'm not someone who wants fame. I don't give a shit. I really don't care when it comes to like being known or, you know, being popular or just I just don't have, I guess, that sort of thing in me, I suppose. I don't it's But what really matters to me is to be seen enough to earn money, be seen enough to get commissions and just, quietly do my thing, work on those things and, earn money and just make a living for myself and get by in life. That's really all it's been for me. Now, all the stuff that happened after university and that, you know, obviously couldn't really get by with what I was doing, so I ended up going back home. And effectively, Twitch became a thing, really. Like I made an overlay, funny enough, I think for someone, or I don't know, I don't remember if it was an actual overlay or if I made like a webcam thing for them. It's just someone directly from Twitch who wanted stuff made, and they approached me, and then I ended up making my own overlays. And thought, you know what, why not just stream, give it a go, and that's where I got on to doing art streams and using an overlay and all that sort of stuff. And obviously that built up to being a VTuber and doing all the things I've been doing. But when I noticed that I started to be earning money from Twitch, that was when I was hoping that and I saw it as like an opening financially for me. I'm just thinking, God, if I can just dedicate my time to this and really make this work in the sense of like just keep improving my stream, keep streaming, have a schedule, have all these things in place, that I can maybe make this grow and it could end up becoming something more, financially for me. As with everything, I don't expect, especially back then, I didn't expect things to ever just land on my lap instantly through doing something like that. But considering I was struggling to find work, and at the time, I had an Etsy store, I was trying to make that work as well because I was trying to sell keychains at the time and hoping that that business aspect could get better. It never did, unfortunately. It's why I don't really have an active Etsy store. It's kind of like closed at the minute, but unfortunately, it became like a gambling session in itself, really. Like whatever money I did earn here and there, from like my Twitch streaming, funny enough, like that ended up being put into my Etsy store, which then didn't really come back with much, either. The problem is with making an Etsy store, making keychain charms and pins, and which I did eventually do and stuff like that, and attempting to make stickers as well. It's like if people were not interested in those items, it never gets sold, and as a result, the money doesn't come in. And whenever I did get a sale, it wasn't enough in the month to warrant the, selling of those items, or to keep, buying new stock for it. Especially when it seems like, I don't know, trends come and go. Like I remember getting a Waluigi charm out for the keychains that I had in the shop, and it turns out that it just for some reason blew up during one Christmas or something, or during that period of time. And then after that, which I thought, what, I'll buy more of these because this seems quite popular. And it just turns out that no one wanted to buy it anymore after that. And it's just, you ended up with a load of Waluigi keychain charms that just never got sold. Like, unfortunately, unless you're like actually making some good sales, significant sales from what you do on Etsy on a monthly basis, you're not going to earn a lot, in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're selling keychain charms, let alone the fact that Etsy was not, and still probably isn't actually a very good shop or very good website to actually use without going into the ins and outs of that one, because that's its own story, especially for me. It was quite frustrating. But in the end, I just decided to close that eventually later down the line, which sucked because really, as with everything, in a way, you dedicate yourself to something like that as well as Twitch streaming and everything, and then you have this sort of I don't know, perspective where you have to close things down or stop doing it because it's just not becoming fruitful. It's not really helping, like figure things out in the long term, and it sucks. Then, let alone things like Redbubble. I've still got my Redbubble, but like at least things are not so bad in the sense of like my designs are not getting taken down. But there was like a point where there was a lot of my designs, a lot of my drawings getting taken down on Redbubble, for fan art, basically. you know, well, Redbubble still probably sells pixel art that doesn't belong to people in the first place, just ripped directly from the old Pokemon games. And they're selling that as designs really easily. You just upscale some pixel art and just put it on a t-shirt and it sells. But yeah, anyway, again, I don't want to go into the ins and outs of it, but I think what I just want to try and do is sum up just a lot of things I've done, let alone the fact that I did the tutorials as well on YouTube, and they did really well. But unfortunately, because I didn't keep doing those videos, I just sort of fizzled out, and I've been replaced with a whole bunch of other tutorials, which happens, is what it is. So come to terms with that one. Which is why, I think anyone who follows me on YouTube and maybe knows me from my tutorials and stuff like that is why I've been trying to just upload like things more recently, like to do with my shorts at the minute, but I do hope to upload more of my actual Twitch content in like an edited VOD format. Like just to try and get myself out there as a VTuber, because really that is what I've been doing all this time on Twitch. Like this is primarily my main thing that I do on a regular basis every week. I used to do it far more, it used to be 5 days a week, 4 days a week for a long time. obviously now I'm down to 3 days a week. Um, like, generally, I think my point is at the minute, the finance aspect, the money aspect hasn't been improving for me. And I don't know how else to really describe it, like how I'm feeling, because I think I don't know, like you all know that I've probably been really low energy on stream lately. Maybe not really being too bothered about what I'm playing and stuff like that, like my scheduling and like how I see things with games, or what I'm doing with my stream, in fact, has kind of like dwindled quite a lot. And it is simply because of the fact that I am just worried about money all the time. I am concerned about my future financially. I'm reassessing my path in life a little bit. Because the problem is, like, I put so much on Twitch in the hope that things would get better. I when I saw that I was earning money every month from Twitch, I was like, yeah, surely I can keep this going. Surely I can make this work. But, initially when I was earning more money was actually through things that I did. Like, I did a thing called Sub for Art, where effectively people would request a drawing from me for a sub, every month. And, you know, awesomely, you guys who helped me out with that, it's been fantastic that you guys have been so supportive with the subs in the first place. But unfortunately, the Sub for Art, it went on for years. But it did fizzle out. Again, it was like one of those things where no one was really requesting anything. I guess, people didn't really have any ideas, and I did my best to really try and, you know, rebrand it, redo it a little bit so that it was like a draw along as well, so people could draw along on the stream and stuff like that. But even that started to fizzle out, and it eventually became a thing, unfortunately, where I just thought that's it, I'm done. With it, because there wasn't really anyone around who was too interested in what I was doing with that. And yeah, what I was doing for years sort of fizzled out. But what I was very thankful for is, even though that, I was doing it for so long, that people were still subbing at the time. However, things have changed obviously over the course of years, and because of how things have been economically, the politics of things, the tariffs in the US right now, the money conversion from dollar to pound, all that sort of thing, has been a humongous hit for me. And I think for a lot of people, actually, who especially rely on money from the US in some form, in dollars and stuff like that, it has affected a lot of people as well who have their own little businesses. There was a studio vlogger that I used to watch who recently decided to stop having a big studio, and they're trying to downscale and just do their own thing, and it's great that they're even able to feel like they can do that. But financially, it was kind of like, because of the tariffs and all the things that was going on with that, it really felt like a hit for them too financially. So it made sense to downscale. In my case, I was already downscaled. I was already small. Like, that's really, it's been quite a tough pill to swallow with a lot of the changes that have happened with Twitch, in the sense of, like, they don't support small streamers. They don't care about small streamers. They only care about whether you become big or not, to be honest. And for the amount of money that they get through you, even as a small streamer, is a bit abysmal. Quite a bit abysmal, you know. Like, generally, it just feels like it's getting worse and worse and worse. And, I'm at this point kind of thinking that with my Twitch streaming as well, like, the money's gone down on my subs. And like I say, with the conversion from dollar to pound, it's pretty bad too. I don't really earn a hell of a lot of money. I probably only get like 130 with Patreon and Twitch combined now. It's not a lot of money. It's not even enough to pay the rent for me being here. So as you can imagine, like, as much as it's better than nothing, it's still a problem. Like, if I can't pay the £150 rent, me living here, and I can't look after myself in terms of like putting food on the table, it's a struggle. It's a real problem. I suppose really I feel like I've been sort of bouncing around the point here, but like generally it's been something I've been thinking about for a long time. Um, about this stuff because in the end it's like I can't feel like that I can just keep putting my head in the sand about my financial circumstance. And work does continue to be a problem to find, especially in the UK. It's just always been a problem. I've never been able to land a job in my life, a proper job. Um, and the only thing I'm really good at is, I guess, what I'm doing right now, I suppose. In the sense of me, doing my video editing, and even though I'm not the greatest at that, and I am, at this point, a little bit more well versed than when I first started doing it. And then on top of it, obviously, my art, my animation, my Live 2D models, and making those, and making my own overlays for Twitch stream, and doing all these things. This is really in the end what I've come to know and had hoped would turn into something, but it just never had. It's just not, and I don't think it ever will. Um, Obviously, the whole point of this is to really just emphasize like my situation a little bit for you guys, because I know I've written it down multiple times in my Discord, and I don't know, it just sort of falls on deaf ears a little bit, I think, or people just don't notice it. But unfortunately, I feel like I have to kind of bring it up a bit more personal like this, and just kind of be truthful with you guys that in the end, I don't think my Twitch streaming and my YouTube, even with me trying to do the VODs and stuff like that, I can't ever expect it to financially ever just suddenly be fruitful for me. This is something that in the end always has to take time, or and in the end, something that I just can't expect to happen, as well. Like, I've been doing this long enough now to think that, yeah, this is just how things are. You know, it never used to be for money, you know, but I saw it as a way of, oh, it's like I'm actually getting somewhere, of getting money from Twitch. Like, this is really awesome because I wasn't getting this before. So I just sort of stuck with it, hoping that something would keep growing from it. But it just sort of feels like that, especially with how Twitch is now. It's like it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And, unfortunately, the people who was once there for my Twitch streams and the things I did are just not there anymore. The growth is just not there. I went from being 15 to 20 viewers to suddenly now literally under 10 viewers, 14 at the most, I guess now, according to my last statistics that I saw from my streaming for the month at the minute. Like, that's my average. Nothing ever grew, and despite everything I've done and all the things I've tried to do during this whole time, me trying to make this work for the 7+ years, I'm more, let's face it. But I'm now in a circumstance where I'm just wondering, what the hell do I do? So, I think I just wanted to explain more, like, why I haven't been myself, probably, and obviously a lot has happened in my life. know, Obviously my dad passing away in 2024, my mum, the biggest hit, passing away in 2022. That was the most, it's just been devastating, you know, and they've come with their own challenges in my life. And suddenly going from two, when my dad passed away, and the things I had to go with that, I haven't really said very much about my dad, but that was a really bad, bad, bad circumstance without going into the ins and outs of that right now. To go from having a roof over my head to suddenly not, and trying to get into a situation where I can live somewhere and, get by with normal rent in another like bedsit, and all the crap that came with that too, the people who were so fucking horrible, the people I was dealing with there. And then, obviously I'm in a much better place now and in a much happier circumstance. Um, Living where I'm living right now in Sleepy's place and stuff, like, the problem is that I'm still not there yet with my finances. I'm still not there with just how much I need. Like, I still need to get by, even with the cheap rent that I've got. Um, it's like, unfortunately, it's still something that I have to push forwards for you guys, that in the end, to kind of just hit home that, you know, I need support. You know, I don't know how else to really say it, but it's just like, whether it's you guys being there for my streams and helping me in the sense of, bumping up the viewer count for me on my streams, or, helping me out financially, like in the sense of going on my Patreon and stuff like that. I would actually go so far as to say, if you want to support me, go on my Patreon now, because frankly, Twitch is a load of crap. I hate it. And unless you want to, um, benefit from the emotes and being able to use them, and I suppose if you're there for my streams all the time, you benefit from the ad-free viewing, which unfortunately I had to change and attempt to earn a little bit of money from if I can. But even that, at this point, it is a double-edged sword. That I think some people don't stick around, even though that you're doing your best to try and make it less frequent for people and less disruptive. Um, the fact of the matter is like I do get a bit more money for every ad every hour. Um, but I know that it can be a bit annoying, and the problem is, it's like, well, I've got no other way of earning money, and I kind of need it, and even then, in the grand scheme of things, especially now, I'm not really earning a lot from those ads anyway. Um, and then that's just, if it were to just touch base on the turbo bullshit that Twitch has as well, I'm not happy with that too. It's like, oh, get turbo so that we can have more money in the pocket. Twitch gets more money in the pocket so that basically you don't have to worry about ads anymore on all channels, where we don't really get that much of a cut from it, like a tiny, tiny little bit of a cut from it. I don't know why they did that, other than the fact that they were just greedy and they just wanted the money to themselves, as opposed to people actually subscribing. Because I do think sometimes people who subscribe to a channel, was like, the incentive was to, obviously support the streamer, but also for the person viewing, they wouldn't have to worry about ads anymore. So they bring this turbo thing, and it's like, again, just messes things up. I think I have noticed more of an income from turbo lately, which is actually a bit more, but actually that means that more people are turning to turbo, and that's really not that's not going to be good for me in terms of finances. It's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, from my end. But yeah, I don't know. I have my thoughts, and unfortunately, Twitch has become very much a lost cause, I feel like, at this point for me. I still stream, obviously, but I have to start thinking along the lines of, well, how am I going to earn money? How am I going to actually get by every month? I'm always wanting to create something or do something of value for you guys, and I've always asked, like, the question of whatever it is, I'll do it. You know, Problem is, when the question's asked, no one really knows what they want. It's like that feeling of, well, okay, what do I do then? Like, in terms of trying to create more incentives for you guys, for you to want to maybe back the Patreon, or, because I don't want to do things for free. I want to feel like that I'm actually making something for you guys that you actually want. And, but to not know what that is really difficult. How am I supposed to know what you guys want from me, really, if you can't actually answer that question? Which sort of leaves me feeling like that I don't know what do you do? So at this point, guys, like, I know this is really long and drawn out, but I feel like I don't know if I'm really explaining myself properly. But unfortunately, because of the fact that money is always an issue, I'm always worrying about money, and because that's also, and let's face it, you can tell it's affecting my streaming, and with the way I've been feeling and the way I've been just generally. Obviously, if you're interested in a commission, that's always there. I've always got a VGen if you want to, purchase anything like that. I'm always open for commissions. But if you just don't care about that and you just want to support me, Patreon's the best place at this point. Unless, in the end, if there's a preferred method, if there's like another thing that you would like, I don't know, maybe coffee. You know, coffee's a very popular one for you guys, I think, who want to support creators. Like, just let me know if there's any kind of alternative, if there's like a preference in a funny sort of way to you wanting to support, like the way you do, so that I can make that happen and make it possible. You know, so that there's potential that, you know, if you don't like Patreon, then you can use coffee instead. Or if you don't like coffee, there's maybe another alternative. As you all know, there's ways you can donate to me on the main page as well. Just normal PayPal donations. If there's like anything you'd like to see me do on the stream again, you know, just let me know. And particularly Patreon, like if you're on my Patreon or if you're someone who wouldn't mind going on my Patreon, then let me know exactly what you would like to see from me. Because again, I've tried to do lots of things and it doesn't seem like it's really interested too many people, and it hasn't really led to more patrons on my Patreon. So, you know, whatever it is, but overall, you know, if I just felt like that I had the financial net I need to just, I would just feel better for it. I'd be able to feel creative again. I'd just be able to, you know, not worry about money anymore, you know, and just feel like that I can get somewhere again with everything. Because really it's all stemmed from the fact that I'm just constantly thinking about money and I have to figure something out. And I'm not someone to put my head in the sand, like I say, and just kind of let this keep happening. You know, I've been doing this for so long, and at the age of 37 now, and it's like I kind of just want something to work out, honestly, for things to be okay. Financially, I know everyone's going through so much, but like if everyone donated $1 or something, like the amount of people that's in my Discord, which is kind of surreal to think that there's about 300 odd people, but if everyone donated $1 or two to the Patreon in some way or a bit more, then I'd be okay. You know, that's kind of the irony of it. But I know it's not as simple as that, you know. But you know, I am thinking of if I haven't already done it, in fact, I am thinking of doing a tier on my Patreon, where effectively it's going to be quite a high tier, where I can just basically be like a tutor to you for, you know, art, if you want to learn art, if you want to learn Live 2D, the software. Like I can generally have like a bit of a sort of maybe one-to-one, or maybe it could be like a group chat thing in the Discord, in my Discord, where I can just literally teach everyone how to do certain things, especially with art, and just to have like a group session, like a classroom in a funny sort of way, or maybe a personal tutoring session for a little while, you know. But some people tend to do it for an hour, but it can be longer than that potentially. I do believe when it comes to art that sometimes you need longer. So, you know, if that is something you're interested in, please let me know, because I can definitely make that a thing on my Patreon. Like anything that you would like to learn from me, I can make happen. Obviously, it will be a fairly pricey tier. I think there's that in. I had wondered about maybe there could be another tier, or maybe the same tier or something. I don't know. I say another tier because I don't think it should be as much. But if for whatever reason you just wanted to hang out and talk or something and just play games or whatever, as like again a group thing, then it could be its own tier as well. I don't know. It's a bit weird to do stuff like that, to be fair. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. The tutoring thing makes sense, though, because I really feel like there should be a value to that. But, yeah, I don't think I'd do the other thing. It just makes no sense. Uh, I don't know. I'm still trying to spitball ideas, as always, trying to figure something out. But yeah, my commissions have really feel like they've sort of dried up since me moving here, strangely enough. And as a result, it's just been very hard to find work and just feel like that I'm actually going to be okay at this point. I've got money saved at the minute, which I was hoping to save for me in account, for the future. But unfortunately, it's looking like I may have to raid into it at some point, and then, but once that's raided into, probably talking about at least 2 months of me, with that money, and then I've got no money at all, right? And I'm just trying to think, well, what do I do about this without running out of my money? And I've already, I would say, cut costs on things, like, especially with me eating healthily and, you know, doing what I can to not spend so much money to the best of my ability. But there's no getting away from the fact that unfortunately inflation is a thing. It's always been really difficult, um, because things are just never ever improving financially. The politics of things are just never improving. So really, all you can do is fend for yourself and try to be okay. And it's been extremely difficult, on my end to do that. I've been getting by, but at the minute, I'm really feeling like I'm going a bit rapidly downhill. In the sense of my finances don't feel like they're ever going to improve. It all sounds really doom and gloom, but honestly, I'm just trying to say it how it is in the most matter of fact possible way, to you guys that, when you say, or when people say stuff like that, if it weren't for you guys, you wouldn't, you would not be doing what you're doing right now. Like, as in, every artist who has a Patreon probably say stuff like that if it weren't for everyone supporting me, I just wouldn't be able to do this, doing all the creative projects that they do and just be able to create and do things that they do generally, whatever that is. They really mean that, because I'm on that. I'm in that situation that if I don't have the support, I could just end up disappearing. And in fact, if I hadn't have made this move, I would have been homeless. More so, like, more quicker. Let's just say. Probably would have had to have sold my computer and everything with it, and that would have been it. I probably would have had to have found a way somehow of getting by, and I don't even have a vehicle. I can't even live in my car. I don't even have a car. I can't even drive. It's kind of like, I don't know what I would have done, frankly, if Sleepy hadn't have come around and actually helped. And I just feel like that I need to emphasize that it could have been a really bad circumstance. Um, but the problem is, like I said, I'm still not out of the woods at all. Like, financially, things have just never improved. Obviously, I got lucky with the pay-per-view show model commissions, which I'm extremely grateful for. Unfortunately, it hasn't led to more work. In fact, it's just all dried up, and I'm just back to square one again. In terms of my commissions and that, it just doesn't seem to be happening. I've been trying to do the streams, trying to do discounted art on my streams and stuff like that. And unfortunately, no one even wanted a $15 sketch from me, and that in itself really hurts. I'm not gonna lie, like, that is very, very kind of sucky. But I do appreciate the people who have actually put money into me in that way and have tried to help. But I just hope that you guys understand just where I'm coming from with all of this. It's been extremely difficult to figure out what to do with my life at this point, especially when this is all I've ever known, is to try and get some of my art and my animation and all the things I've been trying to learn creatively, and with Twitch and everything that I've done with my video content, everything. It's been a very, very difficult situation, and I've just, let alone what life has thrown at me, for the past few years. Like, I don't know really how to advance, what to do, other than try and keep doing what I'm doing. The problem is that I'm just so, like, concerned and worried about what the future holds financially for me, let alone the fact that I want to be with my boyfriend Count and be able to do those things. And I don't want him to also, I don't want to be a burden to him either. I want to be able to figure something out financially on my end. It makes the most sense to try and keep doing what I'm doing right now, but like I say, I can't rely on Twitch anymore and YouTube to get me anywhere, frankly, anymore. So the only thing I can do now is, like, appeal to you guys a little bit. like the people who are listening to this video who want to help me in that way, or to at least allow me to be able to be given the chance to, be creative again and just feel better in a funny sort of way and take this burden off me. By, tempting, you guys who've just followed me for all this time and checked out my content wherever you're watching this from, like especially if it is at all something that you can do and help with, backing my Patreon would be fantastic, you know, and to let me know again what you would like to see from me in general, and I'll do my best to make some stuff happen again. I just feel like, I can have finally a clarity of mind, a clearer mindset of things, and have a more positive viewpoint of things again, because it's just all been very, very difficult to see it any other way because of money concerns and worries that I've had for a long time now, you know, and it's like really it all boils down to you guys in the end, and you've all helped me out so much as it is, and I hate to be asking really more from you. But at the same time, it's like this is my circumstance, this is the situation, and I kind of need to feel like that I've got a bit of a safety net. Um, I don't know what else to do otherwise at this point. But yeah, like I'm sorry if this is, it's a really difficult topic to talk about, and believe me, I really didn't want to be making a video like this. I wanted to just be able to do like everything by myself and try and figure things out, you know, financially, to try and just build things by myself and figure something out financially. Like I say, it's just like that's really how it's always been for years and years. And at this point, I feel like I have to say something because it's really, unfortunately, one of those things where this could just all fizzle out completely if I don't like get a video out there to you guys in some form. And that's really all there is to it. Like, if you are interested in me still streaming, in me doing YouTube content, in me still producing art, and being around for commissions, and if you're still interested in the things that I do online generally, then please back the Patreon. Or, like I say, if you don't want to back Patreon, let me know if there's another method you would like to support me. It sounds weird saying it like that, but it's really the only way at this point. Because I don't feel like that there's any other way. Because how it stands right now, I only have enough for this month. Well, with the current money I have in the bank account that isn't raiding into my savings, I have enough for this month coming, I think. Just, though, just. And the 2 months after, which I guess would be at this point December and January, the money that I've saved up for me and my boyfriend count for the future to try and be together properly. Because obviously having visas and plane trips and stuff like that is definitely something that costs money, a lot of money. So to end up in that circumstance, to be able to even get the visa and do that process, it costs a lot of money, which is why I was trying to save it up. That if I raid into that, not only will that really upset me and it would just immensely suck, but that's only 2 months worth, really, of looking after myself until I can't pay for anything. I just won't have any money in the bank anymore when I'm just done. So to put it into perspective, that's really my timer right now. If things don't improve, if I don't get any more commissions, if I don't have more of a steady income coming in from Patreon and just other passive incomes I have, I'm a bit screwed, basically. So that's why I'm making this video, and in a way, if you want to help me keep seeing what I do, or what I'm saying, if you want to see me keep doing what I do generally online, then and that, you know, I don't end up homeless or I don't end up in any sort of circumstance where things are really difficult financially, then it would be extremely helpful and awesome if you guys can help me out with like a bit more of a, even if it's a little bit of money every month, even if you can't afford anything, just being there for the stream, saying hello in chat, because unfortunately lurkers don't count in chat anymore as a viewer count, like just being there to support my streams again in some form, watching my videos, whatever I upload on YouTube, and just be that support. You know, if that is something you can't do is financially support me, then there's that. But even then, it's like I say, I don't know if there's really much in Twitch and YouTube, but it's still much appreciated, you know, no matter what. Having that support is what it is. It will always help. But financially, I'm really asking really for more financial support, honestly. Because I need to feel like that I've got a safety net. I know I keep feeling like I'm going around in circles, but I just hope that what I'm saying makes sense. And I hate, like I say, to be making a video like this. Like, I think people who've long enough known me now, you know, I've tried my best to do everything by myself. I've really, really tried to make everything work on my end, and I put the time and effort and work into everything I've done, and been hit with so much negativity, really, in terms of like how much social media really devalues you, and especially Twitch and all these platforms, like just trying to be hard about it and, you know, be solid towards it. And I've been doing this for so many years now, like 7+ years now with me doing it, like dedicate myself to Twitch and everything. But is it's not even about being like a rock really, like against those things, and just trying to push through it and not be emotionally upset or annoyed or angry about the progression of my Twitch streams and, you know, my growth in general online. It's like it's more about the finance now, like the reality of the circumstance, the money circumstance I'm in. Thankfully, obviously, I've got no loans over my head or anything like that, but I actually don't know where my life is going to go from here, really. Like, in terms of if things don't improve financially, um, it's just more about I just want to earn enough to get by, which I think I worked out pretty much to be about, you know, maybe 400 at the least, but 450 to be comfortable. 500 would be even nicer, but 450 is really where I'm looking to earn a month, you know, comfortably. And like I say, well, I pretty much only really get about what 120, 130 maybe at the most from Twitch and Patreon combined at the minute. Um, so it's not even paying the rent, like I say, for this place that I'm living in. So, but you know, the amount of money that is spent on buying food for myself every week, that's really the bulk of it, and along with the rent payment of 150, and I guess I got my £16, the lowest I can get my mobile phone bill. You know, that's really what I'm forking out every month in general. So yeah, hopefully this makes sense. But if you want to help support me at this point, guys, I would appreciate it if you checked out my Patreon. If you're interested in the tutoring and stuff, let me know. I am, like I say, planning to make that a fairly high tier though, so I expect it to be high on a monthly basis. It's certainly something that I can look into for anyone who's interested in that. And yeah, hopefully that would actually help me out a lot in the grand scheme of things. Because really that's the only thing I feel like I can offer that can maybe, you know, help people in the long term. Whether it's learning Live 2D or learning, you know, how to draw, or, you know, anything that you like to pick my brains on, really, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Either way, let me know what you'll think, and I would appreciate any support that you can throw at me, really, if at all. You know, whether it's supporting me on my Twitch channel, like, which is a very free thing to do. You can literally just go and say hi, and you'd be helping me out just doing that. Um, or, more financially, or both. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I've waffled on for way too long. I'm sorry that this is not the most positive thing to talk about, but I felt like I just had to just air like how I've been feeling lately because, I do feel like that my Twitch streams have been extremely affected by how I've been feeling about everything, really, and there's not a lot I can really do about it other than reach out to you guys a little bit and just say that, yeah, this isn't great and I don't know what to do. That's the only thing I can do is just get this video out there for anyone who might be like, I don't know, might want to support me in a way. And I'll be definitely looking into like other creative endeavors. And, I was looking in, obviously, I was working in 3D at one point, and I have made some models. And at this point, I don't feel like I can really dedicate myself to those things because, it takes a lot of time and effort and work. Um, Like, I would love to do more 3D stuff, but again, I just don't feel the financial security to do so. Just can't. For the amount of project and, the time that takes to make these things is really difficult. But if I did have the financial backing, that's something I do see myself working towards. I might even see if I can actually make a video game. That'd be awesome. It's just something I've always wanted to do. But either way, I'd definitely be able to breathe a sigh of relief if I did get like financial support and backing. And like I say, I wouldn't be making this video unless I really felt like I had to. And that's just all there is to it. Again, thank you all so much for listening. I do appreciate the support, especially everyone on the Patreon who has stuck with me on the Patreon for so long. Thank you so much for continuing your support on the Patreon like you have. Um, and everyone who's just been around generally in my streams, like for the few people that are there, thank you for stopping in and just being there. I do appreciate that too. I just hope I can keep doing that. That's the problem. Like, I just don't know where life is going to take me from here on out. And so I haven't a clue. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, if you want to help out, like I say, my Patreon is the best place. If there's other avenues you want to take with donating and stuff, let me know. Like, if you prefer coffee, let me know. Just feel free to let me know if there's anything that you want from me in a way in terms of what I can do also for content, or anything you might be interested in general. And do let me know about whether or not you like the tutoring too and stuff. So I hope to catch you later, guys. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.